because the damages caused by.
Jadi satu isu yang
We were locked down for 84 days. Never thought of using it.
SPP ni ialah protection.
I think very immediate and very obvious.
We are basically now number one in Malaysia.
这是一种趋势，线上的。
Akan terjadi dengan pandemik yang COVID-19 yang
I guna Shopee.
我用 Shopee 比较多。
Ewallet 淘宝啊
Through Shopee and some from their own website. Beli macam gunting rambut.
我就有买了一本从台湾寄来的书。
Hobby product.
主要是 grocery 还有家里的东西比较多。
I prefer untuk shop online lah sebab dia lagi senang.
网购比较便宜，然后又方便，不用扛东西，就是你等它寄来你家就可以了。
Twice a week.
大概2-3次。
Mungkin seminggu sekali. Boost, touch and go for tour and also settle for petrol. It's very convenient, so I don't need to hold any cash.
Touch and go Ewallet， 还有另外一个是 Maybank 的 QR Pay， 因为这两个 wallet 是比较多人在使用的。
电子钱包我还蛮少用的，比较麻烦，因为好像可能讲我要用电子钱包，我需要通过它来去到那一个平台去买东西。
I ada guna touch and go wallet. I rasa dia senang nak pakai, senang nak top up and just bawa phone je.
我是觉得 OK 啦，之前去中国的时候也是直接进钱去支付宝，然后也是用无现金的方式来走完我整个旅程，所以就是我觉得是 OK 啦。
还没有，还没有这个想法。
I am ready for cashless era and it's not that scary though. I mean we have to adapt to this cashless era.
There are two biggest beneficiaries under the lockdown as a result of the pandemic. One is Ewallet and the other one is e-commerce. With the increased number of consumers buying online and the widely use of Ewallet, businesses have seized the opportunities and ramp up their presence online. Joining us today is Mr. Ignatius Ong from Touch and Go Ewallet and Mr. Yong Kai Ping from SITEC. So the business seems to be doing well, but certainly there are some problems around. And what are the problems and what are the solutions to address those problems?
I think our online presence, when we talk about digitalization, we always attribute it to our online presence. But online presence or you start selling online doesn't mean that you are fully digitalized because there are a lot of process of business that need to be done, right? So I think our digitalization among the SME are only maybe 50%. 50% of them only use cloud accounting and stuff like that. So still a lot of them doesn't, the maximum is they use e-wallet for payment gateway. They sell things online. They have social media presence. So that's a challenge of how to get as much as the traditional business to go online, and also how deep whether the digitalization process have to go. And then in terms of that, they have a lot of complaints that they don't really know how far you should go, what kind of sector you should go, because it seems like a lot to them, procurement, the enterprise resource and stuff like that. On the other hand, it's also the human resource, because most of them are family business. So either the wife, those who are manning the back end, so they need to find the talent to really assist them to run their business in terms of digitalize. So now the best model we've seen is that for example, Siti Khadijah, they are doing the Telokong. So the mother work on the clothing, the father doing delivery, the kids are assisting them on online business.
But recently, Kai Ping, you should know very well, my portfolio has allocated 1 million ringgit to cooperate with Shopee and to register the micro entrepreneurs to come online. And surprisingly, we managed to register 6,400 micro entrepreneurs who have never been online. And we get them online and they're doing very well. This seems to be quite simple. But is that simple?
Yeah, I think this is more of a survival because they couldn't do business offline. They were in the lockdown in the midst of lockdown, so they're trying to survive. For example, I went to this Korean shop, and then the auntie would tell me she and the son actually having problem to to allocate the stock, doing all this stock keeping because online stock and offline stock as well. So she need to buy a system. So where should she get the system to do all the recording, to keep track of the ordering coming in? And for example, also some people start selling on WhatsApp. So and then one of the online celebrities, he used to cook at around 5 p.m. during the evening time, and he start to sell all this equipment, work equipment and stuff like that. And one day he found out that his WhatsApp was jammed because too many orders came in, and he don't know about it. So he tried to delete and restart everything again because it was jammed. So he lost all the 100+ order. Okay, so these are the practical issues. How do they keep stock, offline, online stock? How do they handle the sudden surge of order coming from social media? So they have problem by coming in from the Western and Eastern social media, coming in from WeChat, coming in from Messenger, and also WhatsApp. So how do they manage at the back end? So I think that's practical issues that they have to solve it now. And luckily, actually, in the market there are a number of systems that they can use, which we have introduced to them. But that is a process that we need to enhance, improve, so that as many those merchants who face a similar problem will be able to know where to get help, to get consultancy, and also get the right system to smoothen their business.
Ignatius, certainly there is a high growth rate of e-wallets, especially after the MCO and during that period. And what does it mean? Does it mean that there is a major change of pattern and behavior of the consumer?
I think a couple of prongs, right? Again, like I said, when we came off from the E291, with the government support, the federal government pushing in, giving out to people 30 ringgit, it got people to start understanding what e-wallet is, especially for those with a lot more skepticism. But I think once it went off from E291 and when the MCO came to play, there was a lot of compelling reasons why users and even merchants started to think about it. Give you a very simple example. When you go to a kopitiam, right, and you're going there for your chao kway teow or your nasi lemak, and a lot of times during the MCO period, what happens is people are just driving out, right, putting on a face mask, and then they just walk into the shop and they say, we are in there to bungkus the food, tapao the food and all that. And the last thing you want to hear from the user, especially if you are a merchant, is say that if you are still transacting in cash, no. Because the very simple fact is, I don't want to go and receive your cash, whether it be changed in coins or notes, because the fear of contaminated notes and all that. So when the merchant started to hear that kind of sentiment from the user, these are the guys, the same merchant that has been pushing, let's say, e-wallet away, start to think, hey, this is the next step, right? We've been always trying to educate merchants with regards to why e-wallet is very, very important. A couple of reasons, right? E-wallet by itself is safe, secured, convenient. The other thing is actually making your life a lot more easier. I've always given people this very, very simple example. Imagine you're one of the person who actually, let's say, you sell raw chicken in the wet market early in the morning. And this is real story. Myself actually went and spoke to this person. And I said, okay, when you are done with selling off all your chickens, let's say 12:30 p.m., noon, what do? You say, I'll clean the store up, and I'll try to quickly rush into my car because I've collected all the cash, in my pouch. And I say, where do you head to? I head to the bank, right? And I said, look, with the e-wallet itself, let me give you an example how easy it is. So imagine you chop the chicken, right? The lady or the uncle who's buying the chicken and say, look, this is it. It's 25 ringgit 80 cents. So pass the plastic bag to them with the chicken, and you continue now work on the second customer's order. While this person now takes off his wallet, his smartphone, scans the QR code, say 2580, he keys in 2580, keys in his PIN number, he show it to this guy and say, look, is this yours? Right, confirm, done. And he doesn't need to go and waste time putting down his chopper and all that, take out, receive 50 ringgit and, return back 24 ringgit and 20 cents. It just doesn't make sense. And that kind of time frame is just wasted time.
But you need the corporations from the consumer, the buyer.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the buyers during the MCO period, the users now feel that, hey, it's much more convenient. I don't need to touch that person's money.
But could it
and
be
exchange.
only a temporary phenomenon? Because just like, once we enter into IMCO, a lot of people just refuse to wear a face mask.
Right.
So, after the IMCO, they'll think, look, I still prefer using cash, and they will go back to the old habits. Yes.
Well, let me ask you this question now. Cash has always been the habitual thing, right? And for Malaysian in the last 20 to 30 years, we were introduced to, let's say, credit card, debit cards. And if you notice at certain merchants, especially those that is, in air-conditioned places that accepts credit and debit card, people are just whipping up the credit card and debit card. Cash is very, very less used. So it becomes a habit. So to me, I think during the MCO period where you have actually formed that habit, chances are you won't go back.
Acquired it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a very, very simple reason is that I've heard from our users time and again, especially after MCO, is that, you know what, Ignatius, fantastic, I don't even need to go and look for an ATM machine today. One time, I used to be almost every other day, I'm going to an ATM machine to withdraw 200-300 ringgit. Now, once a month, I just withdraw like 500 bucks, and because I'm using Ewallet, I don't need to go and look.
Well, Selangor government has been placing a lot of importance on the digital economy, and therefore SITEC was set up. One of the objective is to assist the SME to go for digitalizations. So over the years, Kai Ping, you are running this, surely you have faced some problems and challenges. So what are the critical ones that you probably can enlighten us?
I think the challenge for the last 5 years since SITEC has been set up, I think is to really to educate. I think the challenge is that among the business owner, they are quite reluctant to change their business model because this is where they have been doing quite well. So they're staying in the comfort zone. So actually, COVID crisis actually pushed them to really digitalize. But of course, after the IMCO, some actually returned to the old habit, just like Dato said. So the digitalization actually slowed down a bit. But looking at now, maybe the whole crisis may prolong for a certain time of period, may not be settled so easily. So I think they would have a second thought. So I think the challenge now is to where to get the knowledge. They need to understand because there's a fear that the trust issue, whether and then also being cheated. Because for all that, a lot of the SMEs being cheated by the expert, the so-called gurus, is something that they really fear whether it's true or not. Okay, so this is among. So we need to really go to them, talk to them, and they want to come into the class. Okay, that's the first step. Now they're enlightened, they want to do it. But second thing is they don't have the expertise, so they need someone really hands-on to assist them. And then the third one is we need to tell a lot of success story. So to show that among their peers, some has actually doing it, digitalize, selling online, using Ewallet and doing very well, and the business is growing. So it takes 3 steps together to really convince them. I think the challenge is for us is we really need to not only hands-on, but we need to pull them. A lot of handout doesn't mean that they will join in. So we need to really pull them. We need to encourage them. So this is unlike what we've seen in the Northern Asia, where all of them would jump into if there's first opportunity arise, they would jump into the bandwagon. But over here in Southeast Asia, I think generally even in Malaysia, people are a bit reluctant to be the first mover. So they want to see someone who is successful, then they would join the whole bandwagon. So we need to really push and pull them to do that. And I think now, but fortunately now, I think we see our effort has bear fruits. A lot of merchants are joining in. I can also, as a testimonial, I can see now a durian seller. A lot of durian seller, I've seen them using a touch and go now, even not the business account.
What are the problems and challenges in the popularizations of e-wallet? Because some people, they are too wary about technology. they may be skeptical about the security. Whether my bank account will be hacked because I use Ewallet. Thing of or metal letters.
Okay, I think it comes in a couple of angles, right? First thing, in terms of popularizing e-wallet, you've got to be at locations where it matters to the user. So, Touch and Go e-wallet is only about, 2.5 years old, not even 2.5 years old yet. And one of the key challenges at the beginning of the start of this company is that when we try to get users to come on board, and the immediate response from the users, but where do I spend it? And you're trying to grow both ends, right? Merchant acquisition and user base. And when you talk to the merchant and say, how many users do you have? So it's, again, a chicken egg story. So to the users is that if I am one person who spends my breakfast at the corner coffee shop, in SS3, and then I'll go to SS2 for my lunch, having my favorite chicken rice and all that. Those locations, you gotta have the acceptance points. And when they see it one time, they try it once, they experience it the second time, the habits comes into play. Now, then again, it goes back to the branding that we have. And we always said, look, it is similar to like how you would have actually managed your credit card or debit card, right? You have your debit card, you have your ATM card, you have PIN number, right? So you protect that PIN number really well. I've seen people when they slot in the card, right? They will just like look 3 times behind. And it's the same with the e-wallet, right? We've got a PIN, you sometimes issue your OTP, keep those things strong, which means your password's got to be strong, not something that anyone knows. Again, I think it's all about, educating and getting people to go into the habit. Now, the great thing about Touch and Go e-wallet is, of course, we are the only e-wallet probably in Malaysia and perhaps maybe this part of the world where we are willing to put money where our mouth is. Basically, we have what we call an MBG, a money back guarantee. So long as you actually create an account with us, you KYC because basically you have scanned your IC, we know exactly who you are, everything is secure. Now, if for whatever reason, which is practically remote, someone took over the account. And if it's a genuine takeover, we will do a bit of investigation. We guarantee you that the money that was lost, we'll pay it back to you one for one. So that builds confidence. I think, especially to Malaysians, it's all about assurance, right? Hey, the company that provides me the e-wallet, he's really to stand by and say, look, if I make a mistake. But again, we have always tried to educate users, please be very, very cautious. And for example, what we have also encountered is what we call friendly fraud. Say, for example, I have a kid, right? And my son or my daughter lives with me. My phone is on the table. And let's say my kid sees my credit card, puts it into her wallet, and then what happens is that when you actually try to bind or reload the wallet, it sends an OTP to my phone. So she lives with me. She's just looking at my phone and saying, okay, the PIN number is this 6 number. She keys it in, she gets the money out. But I think it's all about making sure that we are cautious, we do the due diligence when we actually operate the wallet. So it's similar as how you have actually managed your bank account.
So you're saying that actually from the legal perspective, we have sufficient legal infrastructure and the technical infrastructure to protect, to ensure the security of the use of e-wallet.
Just to give you a bit more assurance, the e-money license that we hold as an e-wallet service provider in Malaysia is actually issued by Bank Negara, which is properly regulated, and the regulations that is stipulated therein is more or less similar to what a bank does.
Kai Ping, now a lot of companies, I believe, they are rethinking of how the business model should be. After this MCO, the impact is so great that everyone had to rethink what they should do. What about their new business model and so on. So, what do you think of the future of the Malaysia e-commerce? I think the trend has been, for the past few months that it looks good, but we are not sure whether it's again a temporary phenomenon or not. So, what do you think of the futures and what are the possible opportunities?
I think the e-commerce and also e-wallet are going to grow hand in hand. Both of them are intertwined. As the JP Morgan's reports last year is that they predicted currently the usage of digital wallets is only 7%, same like as the cash, but only in 2023. Something like that, then the e-wallet or the digital wallet will be able to take over the cash. But I think because of the MCO, maybe we would reach that target much more earlier than predicted. Maybe I would boldly predicted actually we are nearly maybe 50 to 60%. 2 or 3 years pushing forwards on all this. So I think the opportunity is that. Now retail industry especially the SMEs actually realize that to survive they really need to go online, have a digital presence online, publicity and also social media and also selling online. So the next step is also to digitalize their business, procurement and the rest, cloud accounting and HR and stuff like that. But on the other hand, we are looking at the B2B business, services business like lawyers and stuff like that. A lot of them that we have conversation with still think that they are not so affected or there's no such urgent needs for them to really digitalize their business. But then they are big parts of our economy, maybe 2/3 of our economy compared to retail maybe just 1/3. So I think it's important to how to get them involved. But their digitalization, their usage of the digital wallet may be quite different from other retail business. But for retail business now, they are looking for, I think at the end of the day now, we need to really explore O2O model, online and offline, how to a digital wallet is just part of it, making payment. But on the other hand, how do we retain our customers? How do we manage to promote to our customer online, and then they become our loyalty members and come back to feel and touch our products at our physical shop, but then also become our ambassadors, referral to their friends, and then the business will be able to return again. The good business, it should have 80% of our return customer. So I think we are, because of this MCO crisis happened, so a lot of businesses has digitalized. So the next step is really to complete the whole O2O processes. I think this is where our digital payment will also be expanding, like lending maybe to the, just like what we've seen in Alibaba.
I can't tell you too much first.
but I think that that's on the card the lending to the SMEs. Again, also other let's say like the digital analytics of the assisting the business to do analytics, where the customer come from, what's the persona or demographic or the income of the customer. So we were able to, instead of us buying another system of understanding where our customer are, the demographic persona, actually the e-wallet system actually would be able to provide you with that, and also others market platform as well. So now is where O2O business model has to be matured, and also we getting all the data from the marketplace, from the e-wallet, as also from our own seller as well. So we were able to understand how the trend is.
Okay, I can see from e-commerce perspective, we have a platform, you can do B2C and B2B and O2O. But e-wallet, with the limitations of the amount allowed, I think it's only 15,000 ringgit now, the highest.
Currently it's 5,000 ringgit at any point in time. For per annum it's 60,000 ringgit.
So it can only meant for B2C model of business and not possible for any amount more than 5,000 ringgit. So what will be the role of the e-wallet, or is it the obstacles for the expansions of the usage of e-wallet?
Actually, not really. So again, like I say, going back to the regulator that regulates us, we in fact has actually gone back to Bank Negara. I can't share with you the exact amount, but we've already got an approval for an increased limit.
Okay.
Just to give you a bit of reason why we've asked for the increased limit, because the fact is we are also looking at merchandise or products and services that make sense for a typical Malaysian. Malaysians love to go to London for whatever reasons. Apparently, London is the capital
Second
of Malaysia.
hometown.
Right? And we're talking about a typical Malaysian household. How many people are there in there? Minimally, probably 4, sometimes 6. And what would be a typical price of a airfare between KL and London? That's probably be about 4,000 ringgit. So a family of 4 times 4, that's 16,000 ringgit. A 5,000 ringgit limit is not going to help it. Right? So we put forward our proposition, we put forward our arguments, and in fact we also said that, look, we also want to facilitate our users. And you know, when you want to buy a house, when you go into some property launches, you know, I know a lot of these property developers love to do this. You know, you pay your booking fee now, or you failing which you're not going to get your house or your unit. So with an e-wallet, rather than you going and tell that person, hey, you know what, I'm going to rush back and get a, you know, my checkbook. With an e-wallet, you can top up immediately and you just do the payment. We are expanding the scope as we go along. I think what Bank Negara as the regulator just wants to make sure that we are not putting in too much of a huge exposure unnecessarily. But when the time comes, when the environment caters for it, then we can actually expand that amount. So how we are packaging our product and developing our product and rolling out our product is essentially to cater to the needs and wants of our users. So to be very frank, I'm just waiting for a last approval from Bank Negara. We're going to be launching a very, well, I would call it killer product, but it's not going to be nice because my competitor won't like to hear it. But it's going to be a product that makes really, really good sense. But we're just waiting for the final approval from our regulator, which means we are going to financial services suite. So I won't share too much, but it will be the wallet that you now use for payment. You can save money, you can invest money, you can even borrow money, like we want to say. So that's where we want to come in and fill in the gap where it's missing today. So I'll give you an example. If you are someone who's earning probably like 3,000 ringgit to 5,000 ringgit, and when it comes festive seasons, when you want to probably throw a kanduri or a party, right? You need, let's say, a short loan. A small amount, 3,000 to 5,000 ringgit, because you wanted to go and pay for the caterer, you want to get the guys come in and build the tent. But chances are you don't want to go and ask your parents. The last person you want to ask is your relatives, right? And you'll feel a bit shy if you want to ask from your friend. Now, imagine the wallet now says, hey, you know what, looking at your track record, your payment record, and we know exactly how much you earn because you are submitting to me your form. You say, 4,000 ringgit, not an issue. Pay us back in the next 3 months on a weekly basis, and an amount that you can afford. So we are now trying to put in the multiplier effect into the economy to make things, first thing, more convenient for users to ask for it. Second thing, is easier for people to repay it. So
for you, actually, it's not an issue of a market expansion, but rather market penetration.
Yes. And we are trying to also now expand on a sideway basis, on a horizontal level, where we are trying to now fill in the gaps of what the users require.
That sounds very interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, going into actually an e-banking business without the license.
That's true.
Yeah. So, okay, Kai Ping, what do you have in SITEC plans for the future? Because there seems to be a lot to be done.
Yeah, we will continue with our e-commerce class, which is extremely popular. The class closed, I think, almost an hour after we posted online. So we got 200 to 300 people registered online. Then we will continue to also, besides having our e-commerce class, a master class, which is a master level of digital marketing and stuff like that. Then we will also go out, went to other municipal, other second-tier cities in Selangor. Like we are going to Ampang, and also we are going to Banting as well, to reach out to those SME who local, maybe a micro SME who wanted to improve their business online. So we have, for example, a lady who was selling this Baju Melayu, and then she was just making 2,000 per week. And then after she joined our Shopee program, she actually make 50,000 per week. And then her sales is growing. So what she need is a bit more coaching, a bit more, success story sharing, how others do it, and she can follow the example as well. So going out. But on the other hand, we also have a number of our accelerator program who built all this around maybe 90 startups. So these are the service provider, technical service provider for the e-commerce. They assist them to do better in social media, to assist them to provide cloud accounting, HR, cloud HR kind of services. So to assist all these micro SME able to do business in a much more simpler and also efficiently. And also with our partners like Touch and Go, the rest of the Ewallet services and marketplace as well. So we are going hand in hand to provide the whole full deck services and also the expertise so that they can join in immediately. What we want is after you listen to our class, listen to a presentation, immediately you can sign up at the back with all our booth and then start to do your business. So that's our philosophy, to get everybody on board and start rolling immediately.
For e-wallet operators, so what are you going to do further to educate the public to come to e-wallets? Because you may have, you just can't go into the market and teach every one of them.
Yep.
So there must be a plan that you can educate the public as a whole.
So one of the ways that we are doing, especially for the internet savvy ones, so any new products or any new enhancement in terms of our process flow or usage of e-wallet, what we do is we document it and we made it in such a way where it's fun to look at it. So basically what we do is we have it enrolled onto YouTube, so people can actually understand, hey, you know what, how do I actually do a payment, how do I actually do a reload, how do I actually buy my card, credit card or debit card, or even doing an FPX transfer into the wallet, how do I now tie up with my existing Touch and Go card onto the wallet so that you do not need to go and think about it physically, finding a Shell station, Petronas station, do a reload. And how do we actually do the RFID that's stuck to your car, either your headlamps or a windscreen, and it passes through. So those are some of the things that we're doing. Now, the other portion is we are also relying on these guys by word of mouth, explaining it to the friends and relatives, especially to, well, I would call it silverhead population. So, like for myself, as the CEO of Touch and Go, I need to explain to my dad. The first time, I still remember when I told him I've left Malaysia Lines, I joined Touch and Go, and he looked at me, also you're going to the card portion. I said, no, it's the e-wallet portion. So, but you always leverage on the infrastructure or the hierarchy of the family unit to actually have that kind of word dispersed. So the word of mouth is very, very important in terms of educating. But the other portion is, again, like I said, we need to continue to come up with products and services that excites the market. So you think about it, if you can, we go into micro lending, it will be something that people will start to talk about, especially people who need certain immediate urgent cash to tie them over for a certain period. Investment, for example, saving money. One of the things that we pulled out and we have actually done, and we didn't really shout out in the market, is that this wallet, I always thought about it, it's like cash, right? And I used to be working in Firefly or even Malaysia Lines. I fly into Singapore quite often, or even Jakarta or Thailand, and it's more like a day trip. And one of the things that I always forget is I forget to go and change my money. So when I get into, let's say, Singapore, right, I can't go and to the coffee shop and eat because they only accept cash. So what I do is I'm forced to go into a air-conditioned place and pay exorbitant prices so that I can use my credit card. But think about it this way, now that with the Touch and Go e-wallet, if you were to fly into any other country, basically what it does is that you just pay like how you would have paid in Malaysia. The familiarity is there. Scan a QR code, which you will see a Touch and Go at the bottom, even though it's in a different country. Pay for it, and we guarantee you that the exchange rate is better than the one that you're going to do.
E-commerce has changed your conventional business model. And with the e-wallet coming in, it further changed the whole system. No business can survive or be successful without adapting to the new changes. Moreover, the resources and supports are already in place. What the businesses need to do is to take the first step and adopt e-commerce and make sure that you make full use of e-wallet. On that note, I would like to thanks Ignatius and Kai Ping for your insightful views.
Thank you, Dato'.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This initiative undertaken by SITEC is indeed one that will always continue to advocate local entrepreneurs to think beyond the borders.